that you had to set the tone?
Well, that's a good question, yes. I made up my mind to go on that stage every day and set a kind of a mood and make sure that everyone had fun and they were aware of the comedic attributes and to get involved. Because I said something one day to, I think it was Yvonne Craig, as Batgirl, and she was doing something. I said, Yvonne, please do every scene in this series as if it were your last and the best work you've ever done. And she looked at me like, who is that conceited idiot? But you know, I was right. You do everything to the best of your ability and bring something fresh every day.
And you still believe in that today? Stuff. If you're looking at this stuff online, all those things are going to be gone. It is going to be pristine. And also, I've been told to let you guys know that all the yeses, all the questions from the internet are yeses. Leslie Gore's 2 numbers are both in her scene, in her episode. So we'll have California Nights and Maybe Now in that episode. The Green Hornet Kato crossover episodes are included. Opens with In Color, and almost every episode will end with the tag and the teaser for the next week's villain. And yes, you're going to see all of the window cameos. So you're going to see, God, what do we got? Jerry Lewis, Sammy Davis Jr., Colonel Klink, and Lurch. Lurch. That must have been a great time to be working on the studio, the sound stage at that point.
Yes, it was, Damien. Some days I said, don't tell me who's going to pop out the window. I don't want to know. I want to be surprised. And indeed I was, because even Phyllis Diller, I think, popped out of the window. But everyone wanted to do that. And yet when they were there on the stage, they had to get in this cramped little box and stay there for an hour or two until they popped out. And they were all, like this, like in a coffin or something. It was terrible. And then they'd open the window and they'd do their thing, and it was fun. Awesome. By the way, we were not walking up a building. The building was on its side.
And did you guys have a hand in that idea?
Well, yes, and I said, there's gravity here. Our capes aren't falling down. So I had the guys hook fishing line to our capes and pull them as we went up the window. And I knew when I watched dailies that you guys would see that fishing line a little bit. It's like Cesar Romero's mustache. Caesar didn't want to shave it. He insisted he wouldn't do it because he was a great Latin lover. And he thought that his entire career was based on the mustache. So at the end of the day, it would be bristling through the white makeup. And you saw that. And it was fun.
It was fun. It worked for the comedy.
Yes.
Part of the 3 hours of special features we've got is Hanging with Batman, which is a true slice of life in the words of Adam West. So what did you talk about in this?
I talked about me.
That's going to be fun.
No, I mean, it was just, like what it was to be doing the show and what my life is like today and things like that.
Do you remember what you bought with your first Batman paycheck?
Paycheck?
Oh, they didn't get that to you yet?
What? Damien, what?
Do you remember? Did you go out and buy anything kind of wild?
I can't say.
Okay. Did you ever borrow the Batmobile off hours?
Yes, I did one night. It was Halloween. And I left the costume on. I got in the Batmobile, but they wouldn't let me off the lot. So I jumped in my truck, and randomly I hit neighborhoods around the studio, and I did this. Trick or treat in my costume. I did it only at one door because the lady fainted. She saw me standing there as Batman, trick or treat. Well, at least I got a bag of candy.
There you go. I heard that you do some pretty good impersonations.
Well, where did you hear that?
I heard it from sources close to Batman himself, that you do a pretty good Mr. Freeze.
Oh, George Sanders. Remember when Mr. Freeze was sitting at the cold end of the table? We were having dinner, and Robin and I were sitting at the warm end of the table. And just before he tried to freeze us, at the end of the dinner, he looked at Batman and said, "Baked Alaska, Batman? Baked Alaska?" You know, there were some very corny little things that often went flying by. But if you watch this, you're going to pick up the nuances.
You also do a pretty good Liberace.
Oh my God. You know, Liberace worked with us in a dual role, and he was to play the musician, and I think his character was Chandel or something, and he was supposed to be really tough. So, to try to get in character, Damien, all day long for a week, he walked around the stage. I'm really a mean guy. I'm gonna get you. George, tell him I'm tough. There were so many experiences with these people. Baby, I like your shirt.
Do you remember what was it like watching the first episode? What was it? Did they do a big TV launch? Did you end up on the cover of TV Guide magazine?
Yeah, I think I was there a bunch of times.
Yeah.
The first, you know what was interesting? I knew when I was losing any last trace of anonymity, because when I left the supermarket the night the Batman was to play, with my little steak and six-pack, I heard the women at the checkout stands and the guys yelling at the clerks, saying, "Get us out of here! Hurry, Batman's on tonight! I can't miss it!" I listened with my head kind of down, and I thought, well, that's it. I think we have a hit, but I've lost my I didn't say virginity. I've lost my anonymity. And indeed, that's what happened.
Yeah.
But how could a guy be as lucky as me? Gee.
Well, that's do you have any favorite fan moments?
Well, I've had a lot of fan moments. They've asked me to sign certain parts of their anatomy that I couldn't really do.
Yeah, not cool guys.
There have been many, well, for example, when I go through an airport or something, and if fans come up, and they say, "We just love Batman, and look, we know the whole scene, let us do it." So here I am standing, trying to make an airplane, and they're playing entire scenes from Batman. It's brilliant.
You've touched a lot of lives. You have. And now you're still working. You're still doing voiceover stuff. You're here. Have you ever slowed down?
There was one night. No. Again, I say I'm very lucky. You know, I keep working and doing stuff. You know, I've got a lifestyle I have to maintain. You know, the jets, the other houses, the boat.
Yeah. Any plans to write another book?
Yes, as a matter of fact, Titan Books in England has contracted with me to reprint my Back to the Batcave book if I will do some more stuff. I've just finished writing an edition, and they like it, and I think it'll come out in a year.
Fantastic. Great. We are going to actually go to you guys now for some questions. So I don't know where you can let me. We got to wrap it? No, we're not wrapping. I don't read signs. So we're going to do some audience questions. There you go.
Hi, Billy Arrowsmith, the DC database on Wikia. Mr. West, you've been involved with Batman in so many different forms of media. I was wondering, what's your favorite Batman story outside of the 60s TV series?
What's your favorite Batman story outside of the series?
Oh, I could never say that. It's too titillating. It would get me in such trouble with my wife. Even though it was many years ago, you know, somebody asked me about that earlier, and I said, what would you do? You've got this beautiful banquet in front of you with all these goodies beautifully presented. And what's a red-blooded bat to do? You have to take a taste here and there. Read the book.
There you go. We have somebody over there.
Hi, my name is Despina, and when I was a little girl, my brother used to always make me watch Batman. We used to watch VHS over and over again, and I didn't realize it was, you know, recorded and not something that was happening then, because I was so little. And this is before I knew well enough not to be attracted to men in tights or costumes. So you were my first ever crush as Batman, and this question has come 20 years in the making. Can I give you a hug?
Yes. Ah, shucks. You know, I hear
Say
this.
no, I'm sorry.
I'm just, I'm in awe.
Okay, so now all of Comic-Con knows my first crush just turned me down.